Okay, so I'm doing my first AC job. I've got a new pump and I've got the manifold on and I'm pulling vacuum, just started. Looks like I've got about 22 inches there on the low. That's pretty good. We're at about 5,300 feet here in Denver. And the temperature is, let's see what we've got here. About 85 degrees, warmest day we've had this year. I've got a brand new pump from Harbor Freight, and looks like she's working pretty good. You'll notice that paper towel down there with oil. I actually had another pump and it was blowing oil all over the place. I'm like calling tech support, is this normal? Oh yeah, it's normal. Well, so I took it and went back over to Harbor Freight while it was on a parts run and to see if they had some more oil because I was going to run out. And talking to the manager, he says, oh, you shouldn't be blowing oil. He says, we've seen that once before. You got a bad pump, bring it back. Well, luckily I had it with me because they didn't have any oil. They don't sell it. I brought it with me just in case I had to swap it just to get the oil. And swapped it, and this one looks like it's running better. I'm also pulling better vacuum. I was only getting 18 pounds when I had the system closed, so I was just pulling on the hose. When I first tried it earlier today, and now I'm over 20. So I was only getting 16, so this is better, 16 to 18 earlier. But even funnier is that I only had 2 lines off of this engine. One was the suction line. I don't know if you can see down there. Let me see if I got a flashlight here. It's the one on the compressor on the right there. I have that off. And I had it aluminum foiled up and I had it tape, real good tape over the compressor. And then coming across here, the discharge tube, I had that off, which goes into the condenser. And so I ordered new O-ring and I got myself a can of Denso oil. So I lost maybe a tablespoon of oil and I put about 3 tablespoons back in OEM O-ring. And when I was picking the O-rings up, my parts guy, who's never been wrong in 14 years, at first was getting me 2 different O-rings, and then he said there's a parts change and oh, it's the same, you get 2 for just the same one for each side. And I'm like, okay. So I went along, got this all put together and blowing oil here on this guy. Well, I couldn't hold pressure. It just dropped right away. So I got to thinking I've got a wrong O-ring. It's got to be one of the 2. The only other thing I did was the dryer, but I was pretty confident that's not leaking. And I noticed that the ones I took off, I had 2 different sizes. And that part number is for the 2 smaller ones, but when I took them off I had a large and a small. Now, quite frankly, I didn't pay attention to which was which, but at the parts counter we were sure the smaller one went to the suction tube over there on the other side of the radiator on the right side that goes to the condenser. So the part number that they had for the suction tube, the other one was the discharge, but the suction tube on the compressor was this one. And it's this tiny little O-ring. Now this is a superseding part number. They don't have the old part number. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going to get that on there. And if it's leaking, it's got to be the bigger one. So we found another O-ring in their parts bin. I was trying to find it. Here it is. This part number, which is number 3 in a schematic I'll show you in a minute. And I put it on there. So now I'm hoping I'm holding vacuum. I mean, it's been a little week of wrong parts and broken stuff, but I'm muddling through it. For my first time on School of Hard Knocks here, I'll tell you. So we've got that guy on there now, which is a larger one. And here's the schematic. I've got it here. Well, let me go see where I've got it. Lost it. I'll let you listen to that pump for a second. Ah, here it is. So this is the one on the compressor I had off, and this is the one on the, let's see, what do they call that tube? I keep getting my names mixed up here. Discharge tube. And they're numbered. This is number 1, which is here. And that's for the discharge tube. There's 2 of those, 1 on each arm. Now for the suction tube, it shows it number 2, which is that tiny little guy I showed you. Interesting, a mechanic came up. He brought his schematic, which had the size, and sure enough it showed that small one. But that in no way resembles the 2 I took off the vehicle. So something's not right. And this is a superseded part number. We don't have the old part number. So what we have